One's a Chiefs fan, the other's a Pats fan, and together they make Primetime Dimes.
What's up, my fellow football fanatics? Welcome back to episode 19 of Primetime Dimes. It's your weekly source for navigating the NFL and CFB seasons in a world full of overreactions. I'm one of your hosts, Megan, and with me as always is Chelsea. And this week we have a special guest joining us so that we can recap week 1 of NFL football. Emma, welcome back to the show.
Hi guys, thanks for having me.
Woo! I'm so happy you're back. I love having you on the show.
Honestly, I didn't know how the last one went. Maybe you guys were just never going to speak to me again. So it was truly a 50-50 toss-up.
Yeah.
Yeah, what's new? How is everybody feeling? It's first Monday Night Football.
I cannot
excited.
wait. I'm super excited to go just chill in bed, likely pass out by halftime, because come on, it's the Raiders versus an okay team in the Ravens that are half broken.
Oof. But I do want to introduce a little new segment for our listeners and to test Milton's football history. We're going to do some trivia at the beginning of every episode. So this
will not be
week's
good.
question, I'm very curious. I think this is a question because it's not that far back, but we're going to go back 10 years for this first question. Who won the AP Offensive Player of the Year award for the 2011 NFL season?
That's just rude.
Put your thinking cap on. 2011.
The worst part is I have to remember who was in the league in 2011, which means I have to remember where I was in 2011.
Do you want to come back to an answer at the end of the show?
No,
Okay.
You graduated high school in 2011, didn't you?
Oh, it's cute. You think? Yeah, no. I'm grad 09.
Guys, I'm trying to do math because I went to Quebec and you have an extra year than I do, so I got to figure it all out.
Yeah, I graduated
Hard over here,
09.
okay?
Was it do I get any hints?
Yes, you can. I can give you a hint
So,
if
like,
you would
can
like,
I-
since
no,
it was
can
so
I-
long ago.
Can I ask questions?
Yes. I will give you 3 yes or no questions.
Is it a
was it a
man?
quarterback?
Yes.
Did he play for the Giants?
No.
That was a pretty specific question.
I know. I
I'm
don't think you should be able to
between-
ask what team he's on.
Okay,
Who are you
fine.
between?
I was between Giants. 2011 quarterback. Okay, is he in the AFC?
No.
Was it Drew Brees?
Yeah! Recently retired Drew Brees was the 2011 Offensive Player of the Year. Yeah, good.
Damn.
That was some good deductive skills there, Milton.
So I was between 3 teams, but the one I couldn't get off my mind was Eli because I was like, okay, we had 07, 09, and then was it 2011? Not that I think he actually won in 07, 09, but I'm like thinking to the Patriots years that they faced each other in the Super Bowl, and I'm like, But then I was like, no, I don't think it's. Yeah, okay. That might have been the most impressive way. I've set the bar way too high with that.
You are officially 1-0 for NFL trivia.
Well, it's about time I win something.
But
Honestly, I was going to say, after what's happening in fantasy with you, Chelsea could have given her this one, gone a little easier. But
I let her ask questions.
Fair.
Bro,
we're gonna
you
open the
did
show with
not
a little-
expect me to get Drew Brees.
I didn't. You know what? I did. I thought this was an easy question. I thought that you would be able to get it, and you did. So technically, I was right.
The look of pure shock on Emma's face. Okay.
She's good. But yeah, we'll move on. So we're gonna do a little fun trivia at the beginning of every show. I think it's a fun idea, and I don't do it. But we
Sorry
have
about
just
that.
a very small NFL news update, as we had the first woman of color officiate an NFL game on Sunday. Maya Shaka officiated in the Jets versus Panthers game. So I was really exciting to see and really happy for her. And that's a big step forward for women and women of color for being more visible in the NFL. So I'm very, very proud of her. But I know Milton is itching to that Thursday night football game as we head into our game recaps. Cowboys versus Bucks. Want to run us through that one?
Yeah, man. You want to talk about highs and lows of great football? Watch the Thursday night game. So yeah, it was the Cowboys versus the Bucks. Dak returned in great fashion. I might hate the boys. Dak looked phenomenal. That was great to see. I was happy for him. He's put in a lot of work for rehabilitation. So obviously it was an extremely close finish with the Cowboys leaving just a little bit too much time on the clock, as has been
Never
the
give
MO.
Brady time.
Yeah, he had too much time. He drove down for a game-winning field goal. Deserves it. I do think the Bucks played the better game, except for their defense didn't look as strong as I would have expected them to start.
Okay.
That might be me being a little tough on them. It is week one. Like, it's hard.
Week one's
to
easy
judge.
to bounce back from.
But I would have expected a little bit more of a lower score from the Cowboys.
Yeah,
I didn't think Dak was going to tear through them that well.
They really let Dallas they let them through. There were a few times where I'm like, how did that even happen? But did you see that after the game there was speculation about Brady wearing an earpiece during the game? There's hashtag earpiece gate. I'm dying.
No, I didn't see that. My honest
I am here for that.
Yeah, my honest reaction to that, and you can attest to it when you first brought it up, was just sure, fine, come up with another reason just to try and diminish. This is now just people getting annoyed that Brady's at the top. I hope he goes to number 8, and I hope he continues just fucking winning it and ramming it down your faces. And then I hope Mahomes just fucking chases it too. Let's go. Let's celebrate these marvels.
I just always feel like there's always something. Brady does good, and it's oh, but wait, was that an earpiece? And I was looking at the photos, and I'm like, do people not know the anatomy of an ear, or do they just think anything looks like an earpiece? Because they had to zoom in and point and circle, and you had to look really hard to be maybe it is an earpiece, or maybe he has some wax buildup.
Yeah,
but you know what? I'll take any hashtag whatever gate against Brady.
And listen, if it actually was an earpiece, I hope he gets suspended. I hope it, in theory, would be more severe than the one for Deflategate. I'm all for fair punishment. But I'm also come on, guys. Let the dude live. He's in his 40s and still wrecking the league. It's annoying. I get it. But wow.
Really love watching someone like Brady run and then turn over to the Steelers and, oh, Big Ben, we weren't moving real quick there. He tried to take a few steps, and they looked like the heaviest steps I've ever seen on an NFL football team.
My dog agrees.
Freya came to say hello.
Yes.
But yeah, no, I am surprised that they still have Big Ben, honestly. I get it. I wouldn't let him go yet either, especially if he's not asking to go. But I feel like it's very much time to move on from Big Ben. That's a very strong opinion I've always had. But let's move on to the Sunday games, starting with the 1 p.m. games. We had the 49ers versus the Lions. Do you want to run that down for us, Emma?
Yeah, so, this game was probably one of the weirdest games. I don't know if you guys will agree with that. I just feel full disclosure, it was a crazy Sunday at my house, so we were always running around doing things. And every time I turned and looked over my shoulder, I was there was another touchdown. There was another touchdown. And at first, it seemed It was a very, very high scoring game. And I personally did not see that coming at all, especially when it was coming down to the wire. I was like, oh, okay. Like, this is actually a toss up. Like, it could be anyone's game at this point. For myself, don't love the 49ers, and the Lions, well, y'all have seen better days, maybe like a million years ago. But just saying. So, quick little run through of the actual game itself. The first snap for the 49ers ended in a turnover to the Lions, but that didn't stop them from dominating the field against the Lions up until that last quarter, like I just said. Things were just absolutely wild. I don't even think anyone could have predicted what actually happened with that game. It was a tremendous push by Goff and the Lions. I'm not the greatest fan of Goff. I just think he's like, Jared Goff. Who cares? Who cares? Sorry. Gotta be rude. I feel like I'm just out for blood tonight, so I'm just like, Jared Goff is weak sauce, but he showed up. He showed up, and I'll eat some
He actually showed up. Dang, I didn't expect that.
It's so funny because they were chirping him at the beginning, like halfway through, maybe like after the first quarter. There were memes coming out being like, "Why did we trade Stafford for you?" Blah blah blah. And then like I don't know if maybe he saw those memes and it lit a fire under his ass, but he came out and just took off, and he tried so hard to get them back.
And then, I mean, unfortunately, the Lions couldn't get it done, and it ended with a 49ers win, score being 41-33. We did get to see Trey Lance take the field and get a touchdown and his first NFL career pass.
Yay.
But not necessarily the first game that I thought, Trey Lance would have. I thought he would have a little bit more time on the field. It was an interesting start, and I want to know what's going on in Kyle Shanahan's head, because there were some interesting decisions made on what day is it? Yesterday. So I'm excited to see where he leads the team this season. Again, I don't love the 49ers. Personally, I think Jimmy G's just kind of like this prissy little guy. But they won. They came out, they won, and you can't argue that.
Yeah, I cannot wait to see what Trey Lance, what they do. I suspect we're going to see a duel, both of them getting dropped down. So both will be used. It will be interesting. But did you guys watch any of the Eagles-Falcons game?
Yes, I did.
Okay.
I had Devontae Smith on one of my teams, so exactly. I was excited.
Emma, I have to ask very quickly, how does Will feel about the Eagles? Because he must be pretty high on them right now.
He cheered so loud at one point that I was like, what just happened?
Yeah.
What just happened? I gotta be honest, that is not what I expected from the Eagles. And I feel like I apologize now, because I think I'm going to be saying that a lot. I think yesterday was not the outcome that I really anticipated. Again, we have to remind ourselves that last season was a total different season than previous years. With COVID, we had a lot of people who opted out, and we didn't have a preseason. So it was like injury after injury after injury after injury. So the teams that were playing weren't necessarily their regular team, right? They had to just kind of make things work. But boy, oh boy, this Eagles team.
They're going to win their division. They look.
I can't believe it.
They look good.
They look great. And so, very briefly, awesome. If you didn't catch the game, what you missed was a lot. Hurts looked phenomenal. He had such a great game, and everyone doubted him. But my favorite was Devontae Smith. Little Devontae Smith scored his first touchdown on his first catch for the Eagles early in the first quarter. And it was a beautiful route. He continues to prove his talent outside of that Alabama system for sure.
He got me plus 20 points in my one fantasy league. So I am very happy with that performance. I hope this performance continues. And I just hope he continues to shine, because I like cheering for players who are no longer on Alabama.
Yeah. So Philly obviously won this game. But hey, Chelsea, you watched the Cardinals-Titans game a little bit, eh? Do you want to fill us in on that?
Yes, I did. This game was so good. I was expecting it to be a lot closer, but I'm really happy that the Cardinals dominated this game. You had DeAndre Hopkins, who continues to show us why he is one of the best in the game. That was such a nice TD catch in the first quarter. I don't know if either of you guys caught that.
Beautiful.
So nice. And they
continued in fantasy, so yeah, it hurt real bad.
But yes, Arizona just like the whole day continued to dominate throughout the rest of the game, ending taking home the W with a score of 38-13. And we also got to see Chandler Jones 5 sacks for the Cardinals defense. LeBron James tweeted out an early prediction for Defensive Player of the Year, stating it could likely be Jones. So, I mean, I stand by my comment that I've made on the show before that Arizona is making a Super Bowl run. I said it would be in the next few years. If it's this year, I'll be super happy. But I love a good underdog story. I think that they have the players on both sides of the field to do it and the leadership to do it. I think they could definitely get it done. So that really hyped me up. I hope that they continue to be on this kind of a path for the rest of the season. Because like it's hard to get excited when someone does good in week 1 because you don't know how the rest of the season is going to go.
Oh, yeah. Overreactions are key, though. Come on. It's what we live on. Let's go. Ride the highs.
Oh, yeah. But,
I didn't stand
and
a
then
chance.
we had the Vikings and Bengals game, which was freaking nuts. If you want to run that one.
Talk about a nail biter. Like that was insane. So as we know, Joe Burrow requested one thing and one thing only, and that was Ja'Marr Chase. And boy, did Ja'Marr Chase show everyone that, he requested me for a reason. We work so well together, and this is just the start. But I'll even take it back and talk just about Joe Burrow. Maybe it's just the girl in me, but every time anyone got close to him, I was like, oh God, here we go again. Like I feel like I've got PTSD from just watching that horrible accident last year. Same thing with that, right? But Joe was on fire. He was quick to move. You know, I didn't know what his mobility would be like, but it was a phenomenal game. And then when it went into overtime, I couldn't believe it. I just thought, this is the Bengals that people want to see. And you know what? I have to give it to the Vikings as well. I will say myself, I was up against Dalvin Cook as well, and I may have shot myself in the foot because as the game was nearing an end, he didn't have that many points in compared to previous games. And then it's like kept him for the very end, and he was just go. So Dalvin Cook's here. He's here to stay. We know he's an incredible player. Both teams had a wild ride. Like I said, Ja'Marr Chase caught 5 out of 7 targets for 101 yards and a touchdown in Sunday's 27-24 overtime win over the Vikings. Even the overtime itself was crazy, and the Bengals did kick the game-winning field goal and take that W. So I'm really looking forward to seeing what Joe and Ja'Marr can accomplish this season together. But if it's anything like yesterday's game was, it's going to be really exciting.
I was pleasantly surprised with Ja'Marr Chase's performance, especially since he had he played for LS. Last time he played football was the championship in LSU. He sat his last season in college because of COVID and then entered the draft. So he had a year not playing football. So I was a little worried. I know not that I don't even think he was available to me in my draft spot, but I did try to avoid drafting him if I had to because I was very unsure of how things were going to go. He wasn't looking too hot in the preseason, but he came out and showed up. So I was pleasantly surprised, but I want to talk about my boy Trevor Lawrence, even though he lost.
He did lose, finally.
Finally, T-Law made his first NFL regular season start. He scored 3 touchdowns, but the Texans did come out on top, ending the game 37-21. This loss for the Jags marks Trevor Lawrence's first loss in a regular season game in his entire football career, spanning from high school to the NFL. His only 2 losses in college were the national championship game against Joe Burrow and the LSU Tigers, and the bowl game last year against Justin Fields and the Ohio State Buckeyes. So I'm still really happy with his performance. He had some really good throws. He got a few touchdowns. He had a good game. It was just a loss for him. I think that Jags defense than him. But we did also in this game see Watson was inactive for the game as expected. But that didn't look like it was a problem for Houston because they still got the job done with Tyrod Taylor as the QB. So who needs Watson?
Can we all agree that we were all equally surprised by Houston's performance yesterday? Because I'm sorry, I did not expect that coming at all. I thought they'd be an absolute shambles, and I was like, all right, Tyrod. Okay.
Milton had both picked the Jags to win that game, so I think I was definitely surprised when they pulled that one through, especially with like their
I didn't think they stood a chance.
Their second QB. But yeah,
I did not think they stood a chance whatsoever. But in better news for me, the Bills lost to the Steelers, and I know Raph is at home cheering at that news because like. Perfect. Screw you, Josh Allen. You suck, you bum. That is a lie. You are actually really fucking good, and I just hate the Bills.
I hated cheering for him this week because he's on one of my fantasy teams, and I'm even mad. I'm more mad that they lost. I'm like, I can't believe I actually I'm at a place in a season where I want the Bills to do good. Like, I still don't believe it.
Yeah. I have to say, I don't know how much you guys watched, but it was an odd game to watch because I think both teams didn't deserve
very
the
slow
win.
Start.
I also don't think either deserved the win. Like, no one went and grabbed the win. Everyone it fell into the Steelers. No offense. Like, I'm not saying Steelers didn't play and didn't actually ultimately win a game, but it felt like they stumbled into it, and I get it. The rust is getting knocked off for week 1. Things didn't necessarily work out as planned. But, like, Josh Allen last season seemed to take such a jump in accuracy, like, make such a jump. He was deadly, and, like, he did make some nice dime passes, don't get me wrong. He also missed digs on, like, their patented long ball that like served them so well all season. So it was a very off game from the Bills. And then Big Ben looked awkward.
Oh boy, he looked tired.
He looked old.
He needs to go to a retirement home. He needs to go to a retirement home. He is not
like dad is out there playing with his sons is what it looked like. Sorry.
Yeah, like he didn't look good. He didn't. His arm looks fantastic. Don't get me wrong. He was slinging it. He didn't look good on the field, though. And I think that's going to be, unfortunately, the reality for the Steelers going forward. He's going to look good. He'll get them some wins, and then he'll start looking old.
Yeah.
And
did you guys see that Chase Claypool catch, though?
Yes, I did.
He elevated for that one.
Hello, our Canadian boy. Holy,
he
didn't have to go that hard.
Yeah.
Yes,
he
he
did.
did.
Beautiful. And then there was 2 other games at 1:00. We had the Chargers versus Washington. So the Chargers won 20-16. Herbert doing what Herbert does best, which is win.
I feel like
now
the Chargers should have had more points.
Yeah, early
Don't
season.
even get me started on that.
Early
That's
season.
fair.
It will come.
Early season.
And
Yeah,
then we
that's
had the
true.
Jets play the Panthers. Panthers won 19-14. That gives Sam Darnold a win. It's always nice. You'll love
It's
to
just that was
see.
also a low scoring game that I thought maybe didn't think because it was the Jets versus the Panthers, but I'm still surprised by that final score.
Yes and no. I mean, it was nice to see Darnold beat his former team. You love to see it, especially when he was seeing ghosts with that team.
And you had Zach Wilson make his start for the Jets, and he had a little bit of a rookie start. Haha.
Well, it was rookie.
Rough start. It was a rookie. He did have a rough start, but I believe he ended up throwing a touchdown.
Yeah.
So I was happy that he at least pulled one passing touchdown out for his season opener. So
Yeah. But no, you want to talk a little bit low scoring? Come on. The Patriots lost by a point, which was karmic. I'm fine with it. So lots of positives. Mac Jones made his first regular season start. We have ourselves a rookie QB, like an actual exciting rookie QB. He looked the part. Most throws I've watched my team make in seemingly forever.
Oh my God. I just realized that this was 2 former Alabama quarterbacks facing each other.
Yeah.
Like I just made that connection.
Yeah.
Damn,
so
that's fun.
it was lots of positives, some negatives besides from the obvious being a loss, but like Mac Jones didn't lose them the game. In fact, Mac Jones was going to win them that game. It was his running backs that unfortunately let him down. Uncharacteristic of a Belichick coach team that we've had high turnovers and high penalties. So that will get fixed. We wouldn't lose a game like this in a couple weeks. It's gonna come back. If Cam Newton was there, yes, they win the game. No question about it. I still personally, as a fan,
Debatable.
like, yeah, as a fan though, I'm happy we just went with Mac Jones. It felt like he's our future. Might as well, let's get him in. Let's go. Let's get through the growing pains.
Seamless fit too. Seamless fit.
Yeah,
And can we talk about like just the welcoming that he got from that crowd?
we're
How
excited.
awesome was that? It's you know what, and that's what I love to see, right? Like New England has accepted. We're starting fresh. We're building from the ground up.
Yeah.
Last year, let's just forget about last year. So anything that could have gone wrong for you guys did, right? That's the reality of the situation. People are going to take L's. The Patriots took an L all season long. 2020 didn't exist. But this season, I'm so excited for you guys because the fans were on fire. They were so amped up for Mac
Let
Jones.
me tell you, like, Aguilar looked good. I'm excited. I am excited, and I wish I could talk more about this game. Maybe in future episodes we'll have, less to cover, and I can fully rave and rant about, my future quarterback. Don't be surprised if, come Christmas time, there's suddenly a jersey on that's number 10. I'm in. I'm bought in on my future.
Let's go.
I'll support him for a while. I'll go. He's my version of Pat Mahomes, who doesn't leave the fucking pocket, but he throws a massive dime. Like, he literally threw it into James White's basket. It just went over the court or over the cornerback and into the arm. I was like, damn! All right,
I love the visual.
Man, I am pumped. But you guys must be pretty pumped.
Man.
Okay, you guys must have suffered a heart attack and then been pretty pumped.
That's the thing is, I was relieved and then excited.
Yeah, do you want to tell me more? Yeah, right?
Chelsea, take it away because I'm still emotionally not recovered.
Oh boy. I mean, just a lot happened in this game. I don't know if you guys saw this, but the Browns safety Harrison Jr. was ejected in one of the first few plays into the first.
What happened?
He stepped on a Chiefs player, sidelines. He stepped on his foot. I think he purposely stomped on it and shoved one of the Chiefs coaches. So he got ejected real quick.
Yeah, get out of there.
Real quick. Yeah, he was just you're gone. So they lost their safety. But then, the Browns' first play, they were first on the board, and they decided to go for a 2-point conversion after their first touchdown, and it was good. Hunt ran it in and put the Browns up 8-0 early in the first quarter, and then the Browns continued to dominate over the Chiefs in the first half. They went to the locker room up 22-10 over the Chiefs, and it was in Cleveland too, so obviously the crowd's going nuts because when does this kind of stuff ever happen in Cleveland? And then Pat Mahomes gave us some Mahomes magic in the second half with that his own rushing touchdown for the Chiefs' first TD of the season. And then
it looked so effortless. It was so beautiful.
So effortless. It was I'm just gonna right here.
It was okay, I'm gonna run 50 yards, and then okay, I guess I'll walk into the end zone.
Just go in. I'm it's right there. But no, I'm really happy that he touchdown of the season, considering the last touchdown that they got was in the AFC Championship. No touchdowns were scored by the Chiefs in the Super Bowl. So this is opening the season touchdown since that game. So really happy for him. And then
we didn't need to bring it up. We didn't need to bring it up.
I'm sorry. I had to say it. It was a good fact. And then the Chiefs then managed to get a TD to Kelsey and a field quarter. They were only down 22-20. And then, he had Mahomes had 3 second half touchdowns, including the 75-yard pass to Hill, which was phenomenal. Love
pretty.
seeing that. It looks they're back in their groove again. And they ended up taking a W on the Browns' home field with a final score of 33-29. And there was just a weight off of my shoulder. Lost to the Browns in week 1, we'd be hearing about this for the rest of the season.
Oh, yeah, I would not live it down.
You need to say why we came back with this dub. I mean, not necessarily the only reason, but I don't know, maybe I missed it. Did you not mention the Browns punter who dropped the ball? I didn't. So the whole reason that week, because it was looking real grim. Yeah. This was down to the wire, and the punter took his eye off the ball. They headed that ball to him, and he dropped it. Had to pick it up and start running from the. I don't know the exact yardage line, but I would say it was between 15 and 20 yards.
I think it was the 30 that they dropped it, and then because it was fourth, they were kicking on fourth. So when he dropped it and the Chiefs tackled, the Chiefs took it over at the Cleveland 30 and then scored the touchdown to win.
Wild.
But yeah, very exciting. That was so exciting because I was like, that was exactly what we needed, and I was like, thank you, football gods.
Without that, I don't necessarily know that we would have won, if I'm being honest.
No, I agree. I think it would have ended with the Browns up, unfortunately. But sometimes shit happens, and usually it happens to the Browns. So
I guess unfortunately, both of our teams, you guys got the W, so that's a good thing. But it looks like both of our teams really kind of have a lot of work to do, which you expect in week 1. But none of us ever have to worry as much as my lovely friends that are Packers fans. Because, oh my God, I could not have predicted. In fact, I did not predict that the Saints, a non-Breeze-led Saints team, was going to destroy the fucking Packers on week 1. Oh, I'm so sorry, Peter.
Drew Brees was not in the stadium. Drew Brees was not on the field. It was a Saints-led without Drew Brees, and what the hell happened?
Winston happened. Winston got LASIK surgery, and now he can see his players.
3 years ago, Winston did the 30 and 30. 30 interceptions and 30 touchdowns. What the hell? And then, sure enough, not 3 years later, he is throwing for what was it? 93 yards, but 4 touchdowns.
Yeah, and that wasn't even the end of the game. I think he ended the game with 5 touchdowns and 148 yards, 0 receptions.
Yeah, so they won quite handedly at 38-3. Did not look good for Aaron Rodgers. Sad to see for me. I kind of love an angry Aaron Rodgers, and I would like some entertainment in the NFC because I do think it's going to be the Bucks that come through there, especially after watching the Saints destroy the Pack, because I do wholeheartedly believe that Tom Brady can beat Winston. Wholeheartedly, and that might come back to bite me in the ass, and you can forever shit on me when that happens because karma's a lovely thing. But wow, I'm very happy for Winston. And I hope the Packers get better. But Emma, please tell me about the team I hate the most, which is the Giants, and how their game with the Broncos went.
Someone who had Jerry Jeudy on their fantasy team, or one of their fantasy teams, this was devastating to me because all week long I was trying to determine, do I put Jeudy in my flex or do I put Jarvis Landry? I know OBJ is out. I know he's not going to go in. What do I do?
Oh, you should have flexed him.
No, it's not your fault. It's not your fault. And then lo and behold, Jeudy goes in for the catch, and he just goes down to the point that he's literally carted off the field. So Judy being carted off the field was pretty indicative of how both of my fantasy teams did this week, and I'll touch on that in a minute here. But the Broncos held most of the lead of the game and left with the W, and the final score of that game was 27-13. So praying for Judy. Hope he gets back in there real soon because we'd like to see him back. And Milton, it wasn't a horrible day. The Giants are still, well, they're still the Giants. You know, what more do I have to say?
Beautiful, beautiful. And the Seahawks were the Seahawks. They did Seahawky things. No, I'm kidding. Wilson did what you expect him to do. And if you're not a fan of football or you're just starting to watch football, just take a moment to look at the highlights from the Seattle game, because you'll notice Wilson does this a lot. Wilson does this a lot. Russell,
a lot of W quarterbacks.
Yeah. Russell just seems to always find a way to win, and I love him. I hate Seattle. So it's one of those where like him and Lockett together are just so much fun to watch. And whoever has Lockett in their fantasy leagues, always. I've had him. I don't have him this year, but I used to take him every year. And then I had him in a keeper league. I was in up until the end of last year. And he's never a wrong choice. But yeah, Seattle won 28-16. And then that led into the primetime game. Chelsea, what happened?
My first question is, who in the NFL Network decided that the first NFL Sunday night primetime game was going to be the Rams versus Bears?
Okay. I was going to let you go on this one, but I just want to believe this was Stafford's coming out party. So for fair. 8 years, you've had Stafford kind of away in purgatory, playing for the Lions. They don't get much prime time. Yeah,
that's true.
And yes, he has had receivers. I mean, Calvin Johnson, or Megatron, as he was better known as, was a wide receiver for him, and he's great. But Stafford, I always felt, has been underappreciated, and that's because we don't watch him enough. What Stafford can do is what Mahomes has done, what Lamar Jackson has done. It's maybe not quite as efficient, but he has been effective. And
that's fair.
I don't think even Emma's like facial reactions to this, have you watched many Lions games over your years?
No. Unless they're versing my team, probably, or it's the only game on.
And there's like no point
occasionally. I mean, if Kenny Golladay actually played last season, I would have watched, but
that's fair.
Man screwed me over, so.
Yeah. But like you get what I'm saying. He is underappreciated. He makes those plays that you don't expect. Now, I think it was because of him. I think the Bears made a bad decision, though.
Yeah. I told you. I called it. I was like, they're not going to start him.
You were right. They should have, though.
They should have, and they did let him play for like 2 snaps, 3 snaps, maybe. Here's the thing.
And he scored.
Andy Dalton did start the game. Justin Fields did make his regular season appearance in the second half of the game. Did I watch the full game? Technically, it was on in the background, but I was very distracted by my vodka sodas to actually keep track. So I was just every once in a while, because I had, friend of the show, Spencer, was over like he always does. And I mean, he wasn't drinking, but I was. And we were just shooting the shit, talking about football. And then something would happen on the TV. And we're like, every time we looked at the TV, the Rams were in scoring position. And, that shows because they finished with the W and a final score of 34-14. So I know it was a good game. I just don't remember it.
Yeah, it was
real.
good.
When we come to football, Andy Dalton, there's not much to be said because, well, it's Andy Dalton and no one really wants him. But who told him it was a good idea to shave the fur off a gerbil and stick it to his upper lip? Because what the hell is going on there? He looks absolutely ridiculous.
Oh my gosh.
What is
During that game, me and Spencer were playing our own little game of what kind of stepfather do you think that like players or like the quarterback would be? And like Andy Dalton did come into the conversation.
Yeah.
right now he's like the creepy Ned Flanders, so he's got to figure that out.
I don't know. It was fun. I was having a good time at the Sunday night game. Happy I had a good day of football. I was just relaxing during the Sunday night game. Had one too many drinks, but still a good game from what I remember.
But all Sunday is for.
Ayo. But I mean, that pretty much wraps up the Sunday games that happened. Let's do some predictions for Monday Night Football since we're, gonna log off and watch that after we're done here because we record on Mondays. Personally, my pick, maybe it's just because I want to stir the pot, but I want to say the Raiders. I do have the Ravens defense on one of my fantasy teams, and I still want to say the Raiders take this one. I think the morale on the Ravens is really low with what they have 4 ACL injuries in like a couple weeks or something. I think they were like 2 in one day. But it's just, I don't know why they're all ACL injuries. And I'm like, what is happening? So yeah, I don't know. I'm saying Raiders. What about you guys?
I agree. I would
Yeah?
say that it's time for Derek Carr to.
I thought I was stirring the pot by saying the Raiders. I didn't think y'all would be agreeing.
No, because like the Ravens have a lot of injuries and they have to figure out something better on offense, a little more dynamic than Lamar Jackson and play action, pump fake. Okay, I'm gonna run. It's become a little predictable, and I do think he'll get back up there to challenging Mahomes and the Chiefs in the AFC. But I think maybe this year they're not going to be as strong, and they've been plagued by injuries, and sometimes the injury bug it doesn't leave a team. So once it's
We saw
there,
it do it to the 49ers, and they had half
and
their
then
team
the
out last season.
Packers,
Yeah.
it happens, and it happened to the Patriots a couple years ago. It's happened to the Chiefs. Like, it happens, and once it's there, it feels like.
Yeah.
So they'll deal with it most of this season. So I'd say it's time for Derek Carr to shine. It's really his year that he needs to show everyone that he is what
Especially
people
after
say.
saying he's like, I'm going down with the ship. Like, you fucking better then. Like, you better
Yeah.
prove it that you're going to go down with this ship no matter what. So is it the same for you, Emma, though?
I agree with everything that you guys have said. I feel like this is Derek Carr's make it or break it season, if I'm being honest, because people were kind of like yawn, right? People are getting bored. So they have this amazing brand new stadium. They're in Vegas now. Again, last year, right off, we can all acknowledge that. But this year, it's his moment. We all know how I feel about Lamar Jackson. People are going to curse me for this, but I just think that he's becoming overrated because, as you've said, Milton, it's like Groundhog Day up in here. Oh, we're going to have the ball. Oh, we're going to stay. Oh, just kidding. We're going to start running. It's like, okay, well, you either choose to be a running back or choose to be a quarterback. Like, yes, I know there's people like Kyler Murray who, are great at running the ball as well, but with Lamar, it's just it's getting predictable, and I do feel for him. I can't imagine what it's like to have to be on half of a team right now, and morale is probably incredibly low. But totally, I'm for the Raiders tonight.
Awesome. All Raiders. So, well, I mean, we either might eat our words or be super happy in like an hour. So we'll see. And then let's move on to some wins and fails of the week. Let's talk about our fantasy teams first. Milton, wins and fails for your fantasy team.
Well, wins is Tom Brady.
Yeah.
Dude got me 51
Hell
points.
yeah.
I will
Very nice.
I will die on a hill picking him. Fuck. Yep. Great decision. Happy with that. Didn't make another single correct decision in my entire draft, but I got TV12, so that's good. Well, actually, no. McLaurin had a great catch. The wide receiver for the
Matrix shit.
like Washington football team.
God.
Great catch. Happy I picked him. Didn't get me a ton of points, but I see the potential. Happy with him. My worst one was Julio Jones. He got me 0.9 points. Don't know where he was, but it was not at his game.
No.
Well, the fact that Tannehill got sacked, 5 times, 6 times, probably didn't help.
Yeah.
Still,
Emma, what about your fantasy team or teams?
All right. I was feeling very emotional about this, and I have some strong opinions. So I'm going to call this segment, Who Wronged Emma? And let me dive right in. There are a
Dun,
few
dun,
key
dun.
players I would like to highlight because although Julio Jones only got Milton 0.9 points, I have a player who got me 0 points. And for those of you who are newer to fantasy or, do play it, one key piece of advice that I can give is don't ever do 2 drafts back to back. Like literally my second draft was starting when my first draft was on its final round pick. I panicked. Absolutely. Like panic is the right word. That was the most stressful thing. And I think that because it's just back to back, it's really hard to, in your mind, to separate the 2 teams and make good strategic choices. So my second team, I really hate that. I hate it. Like I'm not happy with it. It's a lot
As
of
the commissioner,
it also doesn't help.
as the commissioner
Yeah.
for both the leagues, I promise to never do that again.
Honestly, it's fine. Live and learn. So here we go. These are my thoughts and feelings on 4 players that I expected a lot more from. For starters, hello, Mike Evans. Friendly reminder that the summer break is over, my dude. So wake the fuck up. Okay, thanks, bye. I swear this man was looking like one of the fans out there just watching the Cowboys defense, almost intercepting the ball in several of his targets. Like, Mike's just standing there. Brady's targeting him. We know that the issue isn't Brady. Hello, even I'll admit that. He had a great game. And then the Cowboys defense jumps up right in front of him, and Mike's literally like, dude, you have to move. So yeah, he was a disappointment. I expected a lot more from him. Derrick Henry. Yes, the Titans were absolutely going into a tough header with the almighty Cardinals defense. The fact that they have Watt and Budda Baker, like, holy hell, they're a machine. But I'm concerned as to why Derrick Henry spent so much time on the bench. I thought that was an interesting choice. Yes, it's a predictable play to give it to him every time, but he's an absolute tank and unit and can usually get through those walls. So, Derrick, you're going to need to get me those points.
Down.
Pardon?
Or he'll wear people down. So, like, even if he doesn't make it through, he's putting enough force on the bodies. Sorry to cut you off there.
No, I completely agree with that comment. You're so right. So help us this out, please. You were my saving grace last year, and I'd really like it if we could continue it this year. Cool. The next man I have held a grudge against since my first year of fantasy. It's none other than Mr. Inconsistent Mike Williams from our wonderful LA Chargers. Man may as well not have hands at this point. Let's be real. While I don't have him in any of my leagues, I do have Justin Herbert, and there's only so much he can do if his wide receivers aren't doing their job. So again, Mike, let's not over-celebrate on those 1 or 2 catches where you're like, yay, look at me go, when you're dropping balls left, right, and center. Good, got it, cool. Lastly, and here is my wonderful, wonderful 0.00. Not me over here looking like a goddamn clown by putting in Brandon Ayuk. Like, what?
Oh.
What the hell? Yeah,
Pardon?
I had him in. This has to be the biggest disappointment for me of the week, and I'm just going to add a little side comment, minus the absolutely atrocious performance of Aaron Rodgers and the Packers, but as we all know how I feel about that creepy old man, I was really happy with that shit performance, so it's all good there. But Kyle Shanahan, what did Ayuk do to you? Because you must clearly really be unhappy with him right now to give him 0 targets. He was supposed to be deemed like a wide receiver 1, and then reading the reports, I understand, with Ayuk's injuries in camp, he was a little bit more limited, and from what he showed, Shanahan wasn't really feeling it. Go ahead, Milton.
No, it's just, I can't believe, that was rough because, yeah, he wasn't, he did nothing. Like, literally nothing. It was wild.
I just find it funny that both of you are like upset about your players who got you like little points or no points when I had Ronald Jones get me negative 1.60 points.
Yeah, but like all of my players except for Brady underperformed. Literally.
Yeah.
Oh, technically my kicker that I bitched about on our Instagram got me the second. Like, my kicker got me the second amount of points than any of my players.
That's rough.
Like, he sailed it so wide left. It was gone. And he got me the second most points. I'm fucked. I hate fantasy.
That was so bad. But yeah, so you know what? I got a big old goose egg with Brandon Ayuk this week. Maybe that's my own fault for putting faith in the San Francisco 49ers when everybody knows you really shouldn't do that. So live and learn on that one. I'm also throwing shade to Raheem Mostert because, once again, this man over here is broken again. Surprise, surprise. So he screwed me as well. So thank you for coming to this week's segment of Who Wronged Emma. Join me next time on my latest, my horrible fantasy decisions.
Don't forget to drop him, eh? He's injured. He's out 6 to 8 weeks.
I mean, you could put him on your injury. Like, you do have an injury slot, I'm pretty sure, in both leagues. So if you don't want to drop him.
To do this week.
But no,
Thanks for the rant, guys.
I love that. I want more of Who Wronged Emma. I think that should be a permanent segment.
Which means you're stuff coming on all the time. She thinks we're kidding, Chelsea.
Get her out of here.
We're not.
Yeah, no, we're not.
Let us know in the comments if you want Emma to join the show permanently.
I'm gonna get bullied on social media.
No, we just it's all good.
But my fantasy week started rough AF because it started like 2 different leagues, both started rough. So in our TSP league on Thursday night, I had Antonio Brown sitting on my bench, and that did me so fucking dirty because I was like, oh, they have plenty of receivers. What are the odds of them throwing to Antonio Brown 2 to 3 times? Apparently 100%, because that's what happened. So that kind of sucked watching that on my bench. And then in my other league on Thursday night, I had Ronald Jones and the Bucks defense leave me with 0.40 points overall after Thursday's game because the Bucks got 2 points and Ronald Jones put me in the negative. So Thursday night overall, not a good look for me. However, Sunday came along and I just started climbing and sorry, Conkle, but you can eat your words. She was chirping me all day. I had Rafaela chirping me all day. However, it's literally going to come down to the Monday night game for me and Rafaela. So we'll see. I don't know if I'm going to be able to pull that win off. All of my players have played. She has 2 more left, and I think I'm winning by like maybe 20 points. So
that one's going to be tough. Players remaining? Hopefully not a running back.
One of them is Waller on the tight end for the Raiders, and I can't remember who the other one is. He's on the Ravens, and I want to say it's a wide receiver, but it's probably a running back.
If it's a running back, you're screwed, but if it isn't, you should be okay.
Exactly. So, I mean, I'm probably going to look and be like, fuck, but, and then, but yeah, so, you know, I was trailing, but I think like the best part about my fantasy week was just climbing back up and beating Conkle. So I'm really happy that I took the win in week 1 in our sleeper league, which is like between the 2 of them, I want to do better than the one we're playing for money. So, but yeah, I'm really happy with that. But and then
wait, you play one for money?
Yeah, the other league me and Emma is in is for money.
Blasphemy.
I don't know. We want to
play fun.
Yeah, gambling's fun.
Gambling's always fun.
And then, I mean, I didn't have any worst plays of the weeks. Maybe that Cleveland kick was like bad for Cleveland, but I don't consider it bad because it was great for the Chiefs. But my 2 favorite plays of the week was Chase Claypool's catch against the Bills, which we talked about already, and just that crazy grab when he jumped over him and like being able to take it with him to the ground, like that was phenomenal. But I think if I had to give like my like favorite play of the week, like if I had to give it to one, it would be to McLaren, that catch against the Chargers where he tilted his neck back and the receiver was like on top of him and it just floated into his arms and he managed to like get his feet in before he like fell out, and that was just perfect. That was mine. I don't know about you guys, but 2.
No, I have the worst play of the week.
Okay, what was the worst play?
So on the first play that Mac Jones was going to go to throw, he backed up and he turned around and spiked the ball at a receiver's feet. But he forgot that meant that it was a lateral, which means it's a live ball. So thank goodness our center jumped on it. And again, not crapping on Mac Jones. Personally, very happy with him. But I also want to stay as unbiased as possible. Like, that was legitimately a shitty play, and damn, that was funny. That was the worst play of the week. That or Aaron Rodgers. Like, he could have spiked the ball every friggin' pass he threw and into the dirt, and his passer rating would have been better than the friggin' passer rating he got by throwing the ball. So, they're two very bad plays. But Chelsea, you won this week.
Well, Emma won. We didn't get Emma's best and worst plays.
Oh no, I agree. Chase Claypool and Terry McLaurin were definitely up there, but I also think that we should highlight, like we kind of touched on it briefly, but Wilson's throw to Lockett was incredible. Like that's just Russell Wilson doing what he does best, and Lockett was just like, "Here we are, cool, thanks, done and done." Like it was so beautiful to watch.
Yeah, and like. Props to Mahomes and that Hill connection. Like, that was dope.
75 yards.
That was dope.
Yep.
You'll have to see it. Like, there was just a lot of great plays to see happening again. Like, maybe not the all-star stellar plays like that like Claypool's catch and McLaurin's, but it was just nice to see long balls connecting.
Yes.
There was a lot of that from now. Think when all the quarterbacks' accuracies are just pinpoint again.
Oh, it's going to be so much fun.
Beautiful, beautiful.
I'm excited.
I'm ready for some high-scoring games.
Hopefully.
Yeah. But we have our pick'em results from Sunday. Your girl Chelsea came on top with 9 right, and Milton got 7 right. So I am 1-0 for season. I'm terrible at picking. So I'm very surprised because, like, I mean, to be fair, I picked the Dolphins more or less despite Milton because she picked the Patriots, and lo and behold, it was right. So
I did think the Pats were going to pull through, and they would have if their damn running back didn't fumble the ball. Anyways.
I mean, I partly believed that the Dolphins could do it, but I also partly did it to spite you.
Oh, yeah. Like, Tua didn't win them the game. The Patriots lost themselves.
Exactly.
The game. Anyways, sorry.
But that wraps up our NFL portion of the week 1 recap. And there was a lot going on in college football, so I'm going to try and run this down as quick and coherently as I can for some college football updates real quick. It was week 2 for college football. Some news first, however, the Big 12 is expanding. They approved 4 teams to be added to the conference. So they voted to accept BYU, Cincinnati, Houston, and UCF into the conference. I think this is a really good move for the Big 12 to add these teams. It's going to open up more possible recruiting possibilities for the Big 12 moving forward, especially because I don't think they have a lot of Florida schools. So now that they have Central Florida in there, they can pick up more Florida players in recruitment. So I think that's a good for them. But this did come shortly after Oklahoma and Texas left the Big 12 and were the SEC. So I think it was like partly to fill that, but then also partly to like improve recruitment. And this also marks BYU finally joining a power conference after years of trying to move up. They had tried to get into the Big 12 conference 6 years ago and were denied, and they've finally been accepted. So happy for them.
See it.
But yeah, in games though, lots of good games happened this past weekend. We saw Jacksonville State knock off FSU with a walk-off Hail Mary on 4-10, and this is why I love college football, and I also can't stand FSU. So getting to see them lose like that to an unranked school, that's just the best upset I could ask for.
Hell of a throw, too. That was a great Hail Mary.
4th and 10, Hail Mary pass. When do you hear about that happening?
Rarely.
And then some more really fun, exciting news for Coach O and the LSU Tigers as Coach O faced his son. His son is the quarterback for McNeese State Cowboys. His first name is Cody. Don't ask me how to say Coach O's last name. I will only refer to him as Coach O. So Cody O was the starter quarterback against the Cowboy, or sorry, he's on the Cowboys against the Tigers. He's entering his 3rd season as the starting quarterback for the Cowboys. LSU did come out on top, ending the game 34-7, but the media kind of approached Coach O and was like, "Are you going to be mad if like your son scores a touchdown against you?" He was like, "Well, no, I'm going to be mad at my defense. I'm going to be happy for him, but mad at my defense." So that was just like a little fun tidbit there for the LSU Tigers. And then probably my favorite game of the weekend, Oregon gave Ohio State a run for their money Saturday afternoon. I was losing my shit so hard. I hate Ohio in this upset, and I love Oregon. So this upset made me so happy. The atmosphere in Ohio on Saturday was insane because it was even though it's week 2, this was the home opener because last week was played on a neutral field. So Ohio had their home opener in the Buckeyes Stadium. It was loud. It was packed. There was the band, and there's so much noise. Like the noise on Saturday compared to the noise on Sunday. Like Sunday seems quiet. That's how crazy college football games are. And then, the noise was no distraction. Ducks, who did get the upset in Ohio State. The Buckeyes were up at the beginning of the first half, but Oregon caught up very quickly and held Ohio off to the end of the first half. The first half ended 14-7 over Ohio State, and then Oregon continued to add to that lead throughout the second half of the game. Ohio State did still have a good offensive game in the second half. It just wasn't enough to catch up to Oregon, who defeated Ohio 35-28. Love seeing Ohio get beat at the home opener. Even better that it was Oregon. But yeah, it was a really good effort on both sides. It was a really exciting game to watch. And, the last minute push by Ohio was nuts. If you are listening and you did watch that game, that was the ending. And now Ohio is 1-1 and are currently, I don't know what they're currently ranked. I meant to put the number in there. Don't know what they're currently ranked. I'll probably find out soon. But this is the first time that the coach for Ohio has lost a regular season game since starting to coach for Ohio. So that was like a rough loss for them. I will touch on the Iowa versus Iowa State game because it's the first time that both Iowa schools were ranked in the top 10. Iowa was 10, Iowa State was 9. So not only was it a Big Ten matchup, it was a huge rivalry, and it was an interstate game. So the crowd was hyped. Both fans for both teams were in their full force. The Iowa Hawkeyes at number 10 end up defeating number 9 Iowa State 27-17. I guess when they play each other, they call it the Cy-Hawk Trophy. And this was the first matchup in history for this trophy event that the two teams were ranked. And then, thank you. Ohio State is now ranked 8th. Thank you, Milton. But jumping back, Iowa had an amazing defensive performance and some heads-up special team plays to top the rival Iowa State 27-17. And then, before the show, I have to talk about that Clemson game.
There. It cut off on my end, so we're having technical difficulty right there. Do you mind repeating the last thing you said?
Just that Iowa had an amazing defensive and they had some really good special teams plays that ended up topping Iowa State. So I was just wrapping that one up. And then I'll say it again. I'm very happy to talk about the Clemson game that happened because this is the Clemson that I know to watch to be true. They finished the first half up 35-3, and that is usually how I like watching my Clemson games. It was a very exciting first half, lots of good plays. There was a back-to-back pick, a whole lot of cheering from me with 5 touchdowns for Clemson. Maybe it was the neutral field last week, but seeing Clemson play in Death Valley, so they were in their home stadium with the full set of fans, I think it really made them look and feel like they got their mojo back. I mean, a first week loss is always easy to bounce back from, so I think that really lit a fire under their ass. The third quarter was a little slow, but they managed to pick things up They managed to pick things up, ending the third up 49-3. It was a no-score fourth quarter, but the Tigers did do a good job holding off a few attempts from SC State touchdowns, and the game ended 49-3. Clemson did pull DJ Uyunglele off the field with 9 minutes left in the third when they were up 42-3. And I can't remember how to pronounce his name, but our QB2, very impressive finishing the second half. I was really happy. I'm hoping to get to see him a bit more if we're up in games like this again, because I think he hopefully will stay and play after DJ. Like that would be my hope. And then if that first game is the only loss that Clemson has this season, and it was 10-3 against Georgia, and it wasn't a good game for either. The Georgia touchdown was a defensive touchdown, and Clemson's offense didn't score anything either. So, other than the field goal, but I think they do have a shot at the playoffs again. I know I kind of counted them out last week, but I think they're making their way back up to a playoffs, definitely. But that's my very quick college rant. I feel out of breath after that. Jesus Christ, I hope I didn't bore you guys.
No, it's a good update. Thanks
I'm
for that.
trying to pick my college team, so
I vote
still have to pick
Oregon.
No, and my argument is that it's literally at the opposite end of well, I say country. I'm obviously in Canada, but it's completely West Coast. So
That's
to
fair.
get my butt out there will just be
Yeah.
very, very
But think of
costly.
the
So I'm
trip.
still trying to pick a team.
Michigan is
For
close
what?
and fun.
Think of the trip.
Yeah.
Now the trip
Like
out
everything
west.
else. So Oregon would be
And no, you
cool,
don't want to
but-
go Michigan because that's where Tom Brady was.
But yeah, that's all we have for this week's episode. Thank you, Emma, for joining us this week. We love having you on the show, and you are, of course, welcome back anytime.
Thank you.
To our listeners, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, share, rate, and review the show. The show is available on Apple, Spotify, and wherever you get your podcasts. We really do appreciate our listeners and our friends who share our content. It truly warms our hearts. So shout out to the pals and our listeners this week. And to show our appreciation to our friends and listeners, we are going to start doing a shout out contest on the show. To enter, all you have to do is share an episode to your Instagram story from wherever you listen to it and tag us in the story. You can take a screenshot and DM us the story if you have a private account so that we can see it. And we'll enter you into a draw for the PTD fan shout out at the end of every episode. We'll give you a shout out to you and your favorite NFL CFB team, or both if you have both like me. And so as we record on Mondays, that is the deadline to enter each week. Also, if you have any questions you want us to answer on the show, leave a 5-star review on Apple Podcast and put your question in the review. We'll start to go through any cues for the girls, as I like to call it, at the end of each episode. And our Sunday pick'ems will be posted on our social media for NFL Week 2 on Thursday, which is tomorrow, since this episode comes out on Wednesday. So you can keep your eyes peeled for that. But thank you for tuning in, and we'll be back next Wednesday. Bye.
Take care.
Listen in to Primetime Dimes every Wednesday for your latest on football.